Welcome back, humans and mutants alike. My name is Kyle. I'm with Danny, and we're here once again talking mutant life on Krakoa and in the world in general. And today we are talking about X Force issue number 2. You excited about this one?
Very much. Easily the Paramount series in the whole spectrum of X-Men comics right now. New Mutants is
Absolutely.
great. There's a lot of fun stuff happening in Excalibur, but X-Force is the front runner easily.
Yeah.
And
Like I
I'm always excited to dive into it again.
Yeah, I'm loving everything that's going on with Marauders. I love everything that's going on with Excalibur, the weirdness of X-Men's. It's weird. Um,
Yeah, but
but
fun.
but but X-Force gets my nipples erect and my penis hard, good sir.
You're
Like
you're
it takes
pointing north on all
yeah,
points.
yeah, it takes me to a whole new level. And again, it's the one I'm excited about where I'm like, yeah, let's do this. It's like a ride.
Yeah, it's crazy because like you each page you're turning through and you're just like, oh man, like where are they gonna go with this next? Like I can't wait, I can't wait, I can't wait. You're on the edge of your seat. Whereas most of the other issues, even the good ones, you're still just like, okay, you can take it as a gradual ride and you enjoy it and you're happy at the end, but you're not as thrilled to dive to the next page and want to know what the story like. And the cliffhanger endings that they like to do in X Force just
Mhm.
leave you salivating for the next one easily.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And last week we left off with death of Charles, just death of Charles Xavier, shot in the face. Um,
The whole like elephant in the room of like, how does death going to work from this point forward? And
mhm.
it's interesting because like Benjamin Percy's writing this, and the way that they're approaching this kind of like twist and narrative is really unique. And I'm kind of shocked that the best like series right now coming out of X-Men is not even written by Hickman.
It's
It's
not
written by
Hickman.
it's someone completely different. But
Yeah.
you know, there is Hickman overseeing it, so I can't
Yes.
completely take the credit off of him. And this has his you can kind of hear his echo in some of this, but
Sure.
really this is still this is Percy's story, and I am completely taken aback by just the cavalier approach to the rules that Hickman put forth. It's almost like Percy's like showing you like this is the world Hickman set up. Check out me playing in its sandbox. Like I killed Charles Xavier. Like look at this, and immediately like jump into that from like the end of issue 1 to issue 2, and it's really cool to see it in real time.
Absolutely, and I gotta give props to Xara too, because his artwork's great. It has that '60s vibe. It also has a little bit like when you look at that cross hatching, I feel some Jim Lee vibes in there, some '90s Jim Lee vibes, a little bit,
Yeah,
especially with
especially in
Wolverine
yeah,
specific.
that's
Yeah.
exactly what I was gonna say. When you look at Wolverine, that does have kind of a throwback to like the '90s Jim Lee style. Definitely.
So I've been digging a lot of that as well. So the art is on par with the writing in this series so far, and yes, it's definitely the strongest one in my opinion. Uh, Now that we are a little bit behind in these series, so I guess we can talk about uh, we will be covering Fallen Angels issue number 2, but as of issue number 6. Uh, there has been no solicits for Fallen Angels to go any further. And the writer tweeted that he will be working on a TV show and putting this on hold. So we have received one of the first, I guess you could say, victims of Dawn of X. Do you have a comment on that? Just a quick note.
Praise be to Odin for all is right in the world. Fallen Angels is where it needs to be. I mean, I don't know how up to date you are on Fallen Angels, but I'm I think on issue 4 right now, and I'm just like this needs. I remember just saying like this needs to end. Like this isn't going anywhere. Like
It's
gripping.
not.
It's the anti like X Force. It feels like it's the antithesis of what X Force is in complete contrast. Like it's trying to be X Force, but it's doing everything wrong.
Yeah. Um, And it's unfortunate because, especially with Cable and Laura Kinney, I
With
feel
that
like
roster. It's a
their
great roster.
their characters are getting like their writing's getting like thrown away. Like all their development, I feel, is getting
It's a
thrown
shame.
away with
Right.
Like kind of Psylocke kind of under the helm. And no, not a knock to Psylocke. I feel like they just don't know what to do with these two Psylocks.
Yeah, they kind of wrote themselves into a corner with this, and it's a big problem. And I feel like dedicating an issue to kind of smooth out the current canon is just too cumbersome. I mean, look at it. We're already dealing with this big problem of like 4 or 5 X-Men issues coming out a week. Like they
Yeah.
need to trim the fat and they need to trim it fast and like with a vengeance. And I feel it's a no-brainer. Fallen Angels has got to go. Like tell your story, cap it off, finish your little like modernized canonization of what Psylocke is and lock that canon in and leave it where it is and let's let Fallen Angels rest. I mean, shit, the last Fallen Angels came out what like 15 years ago, so let's keep it. There's a reason.
Guess so.
Yeah,
Guess so. Unfortunate, and we're getting a new Wolverine soon, so we'll see how that goes. Just more
yeah,
stuff added to the pile.
yeah. But I
But
mean, sometimes the solo Wolverine series work really well. So
oh
let's see.
yeah, it's always the solo stuff with
Yeah,
Wolverine.
like what
That's
was
great.
it
Yeah.
Miller when he was working on it? Like his stuff was. Oh
Sure. Oh
gosh, yeah.
yeah. Oh
We're
yeah.
still feeling the stuff from that. I mean, gosh, that Dawn of X with what was it, Gorgon, and like they had that meeting and all that stuff. But not to get into that. But
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Oh
good
yeah.
times.
But yeah, moving on to X Force. You ready for this? You ready to deep dive
Oh
into
yeah,
this?
oh yeah. Let's dive into the cream of the crop here.
Oh yeah, so we start off with an image, great image. This whole page of just the shattered Cerebro on the ground, and we're hearing Magneto's voice, and he's lamenting pretty much. He's just all like, "If only I stopped the bullets. If only if only I could do." Just he keeps blaming himself
Yeah, he even
for
like notes that if only you were made of metal, I could fix you. And it's just like all these
yeah.
like if onlys. It's such a deep lament, but it's perfect for Magneto because this is the core to his character and how deep he feels about Charles and the world in general.
Yeah, and the art is great here. And then we go to the next page, and the art is even more great because we get like a kind of a reverse shot. We see Magneto lift up the helmet, lift up Cerebro, and then we cut to a behind shot, a reverse shot of the X-Men just kind of also in mourning, and we just see Charles's dead body on the ground, blood just dripping everywhere, and it's a full page spread. And we see a decent amount of people on
We
this.
even get Charles's face for the first time actually in like, the
Yeah,
proper X-Men series. Like they haven't shown Charles's face since like what,
Dawn.
beginning House of X? Like
Yeah, or
I don't
House.
even think
Yeah,
since I think House and Powers ended, and by that point he was well adjusted into his new, I guess you could say, his crown. He never
yeah.
took it off. Like he put that crown on and he wore it heavy. But
So
yeah,
true.
what a beautiful illustration of how like the eye just pulls you around all the different characters throughout the X-Men like history, and they're all focused. All their vision is pointing towards the center on Charles, and it brings you right to it. And that overshot of
Mhm.
Magneto hovering above him as he
Yeah,
reconstructed Cerebro in his hand, and it's like you see that little bit of blood coming off of it still. It's such a
yeah.
great illustration. I'm just like, there's detail everywhere. There's a story. You could spend like hours just going through this
Dude,
page alone and like, look who's
yeah.
there. You can tell who they are just by the way how well
Every
they're designed.
character. You could
Yeah.
go every character one by one and just watch their grief. But it's great, and he's just like, I hope you could return to us.
Yeah.
And
This is the
go on.
beginning of what Magneto was saying. Like he said, like if you don't come, rise to the occasion when the time calls, I will. And I'm going to test you with that when it happens because it will happen. And this is the Magneto still continuing down his original mantra of saying, like, if they don't bring you back to us and you don't take the reins of this, I'll take the reins of it. And I'm gonna show them how my vengeance can be because typical Magneto in the
Oh
past,
yeah,
every time you kill Charles, that throws Magneto off the reins, and he's just like, I'll fucking murder everyone who was involved with this,
yeah,
humans and mutants alike. Like you destroyed the only friend I had, and you see Magneto taking a step down from that and actually evolving in an emotional and personal way where he's like, I'm trusting in what you put forth, but I will have vengeance quickly and swiftly if this doesn't work out. But he's still putting his faith in Charles. He's still believing him. He's dead there on the ground, covered in blood, and Magneto is still following that man. He is willingly following a corpse, and it's crazy to see Magneto in that stance.
He sure is. So moving on, we get Magneto and Jean Grey and Beast. And we see Jean Grey take the helmet from Magneto, or they're kind of working together, and they turn the helmet into a sword. And
That's
as it, go
that's
ahead.
to mirror though. That's to mirror the conflicting points of view because here Magneto
Yeah,
is continuing on what he said. He said that it's
exactly.
important that we need to bring him back. If we
Yep.
don't bring him back, then people will know that the king can be dethroned, and that'll cause strife in the mutants, that'll cause strife in the humans, and then it'll cause civil war and
Mhm.
actual war to break out. And Magneto's like he is beckoning for it because Jean's sitting here saying we're doing as best as I can. I believe I can bring him back. I must. I have to. And Magneto says you must because at that moment he takes Cerebro and he turns it into a sword because you can tell that it's his powers working when it kind of glows with more of a like a blue
The
kind of
blue.
tint around
Yeah.
it. And that's him like as he reaches out and he says you think no you must because look at him. He doesn't even have to say it. He's holding that sword in his hand and he's saying I will bring war to the humans if we can't restore the balance here. And Jean's like, I'm working on. I don't know. I've never really resurrected Charles before
It's
like
gonna be
this, but I'll do it. I'll do my best.
Yeah, he's putting like a pressure on her for sure.
But it's beautiful visual like symbolism of like their two dichotomies like interacting with each other. Where she's like, I'm trying to rebuild what we have here, and Magneto's like, you better, or the sword will fall.
Yeah, and so she's like, "All right, Jam, calm down. I'll go do this shit." So Beast and Jean Grey go to Cradle One, and this is where we learn about these cradles. Or we don't really learn. We know that there's more than one, and we are displayed one of the cradles, and we know there's more of them. But in this cradle, we find another Cerebro, just kind of growing out of the roots almost.
It looks like it was one that was kept in kind of like storing. I feel like the cradle implies like this is like their secret storage compartments for important devices. Maybe the multiple cradles are different Cerebro locations, but it's just a very weird scene because I one like how they transition by just opening up the ground and it creates a cave structure that they climb down through in just
Mm-hmm.
Krakoa. I like that kind of like moving and shifting like element to Krakoa. It gives it a lot of like I guess it makes it feel more alive and more organic, and that's
Yeah,
really cool. But it's also neat to see this like very Batman Batcave esque moment of just like
yeah,
the secret chamber within Krakoa. And it's weird though that Beast is the one that they're putting all this pressure on because Jean's putting down the gauntlet on Beast, saying like, "We don't have much time. You got
yeah.
to figure this out. Fix, Cerebro so it's working 100 or get the Cerebro online so we can download Charles and then we could start working on trying to resurrect him because without that we're screwed because Cerebro is the database like Charles's psychic ethos was the imprinting of all the mutant memories and personas so without Cerebro and Charles functioning in a proper light
Yep.
their backup is offline so they're like
Yeah.
whoop this is rough but they put this on Beast here to fix it, and it's like she makes this comment about him being a scientist, but I need you to have faith, and I need you to believe that you can do this and that the system will work. And I'm like, but wait, Beast is more of like a biologist and less like a scientist. Like this would be once again like the creator of Cerebro, like this would be gosh, oh the mind it slips me right now. Who was the one who originally built Cerebro? I can't remember his mutant name.
Forge.
Forge. I kept wanting to say Sage, but I'm like, that's not right. Like, why do I keep wanting to say Forge? I guess because Native American or something like that. That was just a trope, I guess. Sage. They called him Apache Chief. So, like, Forge. Forge is the one.
Yeah,
who they should be lifting on, like
you'd
all
think,
this
right?
too. Yeah, it's weird that they kind of put this on Beast, and he's just like, all right, like it's like you go to like a biological engineer and you say like, hey man, like I need you to program this computer or like just different
Right.
people. And he's like, I know it's out of scope, man, but you're intelligent, figures it out.
Right.
And it kind of feels like that's what they're doing. And I'm like, okay, I get it in a sense if that's all you can do, but you have teleportation and other people who are versed in technology that's not, limited as much as Beast is. I know he's smart enough to take this on, but I know that there are plenty of other people that they could lean on that could probably do a better job of fixing this. And it's weird that they're not doing it. I wonder why. Like, I wonder what the reason was
I
for
don't
this
know.
kind of writing motivation for them to like. Is just because Beast is original X-Men, maybe? And
Giving
they just
Beast
want to be more
something to
simple.
do. Yeah, I was just thinking
Yeah,
that they're just putting Beast in there to give him something to do.
yeah. Well, maybe the one thing that I think that gives this a nod towards Beast is there is a biological back end to it because of the resurrection aspect. So maybe that's why.
Yes, that's all psychic power, energy, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, maybe they have like a synthetic, like biological system that kind of interacts with both the technical, psychic, and like biological end. And they feel that Beast has enough in all those territories that maybe he's better. I still feel like Forge could just be here. Like it shouldn't be that hard. They have the teleporting abilities all over the place. They could just send someone,
Just get
like
Forge, yeah.
yeah, they got Vanisher. What's he doing? I get that dude and just be like, hey man, we need to get Forge, and he's like, done. Like magic, they resurrected all the good teleporters. So
Right.
like, yeah, this just feels weird. Like he could just be here right now and be like, all right, I got this. We'll get it all back online because things are important. But this is my one writing gripe with the whole X Force issue, and that's why I kind of wanted to tangent on it because aside from that, the rest of the issue fits great, but this part just seemed like it was kind of out of place. I don't know if that kind of scratched you the same way too.
I didn't think about it too much, to be honest, but you breaking it down, that makes sense. I'm just like, I don't know why he's here. It should be Forge, and it feels like the writer just wanted to put Beast in just to put Beast in. I feel like it's just someone, maybe an editor, was just like, throw Beast in there somewhere.
He's got like an MBA in something, right? Or like, well,
Yeah,
like did he go to MIT? I don't remember. Let's put him in. He can be fine. Look at those glasses. He's a scientist, as Gene said.
yeah.
As Gene blanketed it. You know how to science.
Science. It's
And
ridiculous.
that's why I was like, this is kind of late writing almost, but whatever. If this is the worst part, I'll take it. This would still be like the best part in a Fallen Angels like issue. A Beast is doing shit. Thank God.
Ah man, I'm so happy they put Beast in here. I would have raged if Beast wasn't in here. But yeah. So blind faith. And then we cut to the assassination query, which just kind of tells us an account of what happened. So we lost 33 mutants. One was Charles. Uh, we learned that they wanted to wipe out the figurehead of mutant kind. They're unsure if they knew about the resurrection capabilities of Cerebro, but not impossible that they knew.
Yeah, the shot could have just been to kill Charles. Cerebo was collateral, not necessarily the intended target, like a 2-for-1.
Yeah, and it just kind of tells you, breaks down more or less what happened in issue number one, right? They flew, they killed by dropping in over airspace.
Yeah, they touched on like how the Sokovian Treaty Ceremony was where everything essentially started. That they discovered that tracking device that they said was slipped in with either was it like champagne or crab cakes? And I was like,
Right.
oh man, there are crab cakes, and Charles didn't get down on any of those. I didn't see him touch one of those crab cakes.
Nah, man.
I just remember reading that, going like, I was like pissed off. I was like, there are crab cakes there, and Charles didn't have any. But yeah, that was like a nice little note that they were able to pick up on, like how they were able to track Charles and note him versus the other
Right.
mutants, and how they were able to get in.
And it ends with preventative measures as an emergency proposal to implement a daily EMP blast to wipe out all traditional electronics on the island has been approved by the Quiet Council. So,
That was
if,
dope. That was
if
real
they,
cool.
yeah, if they want, they could just
Yeah, kind of
shut,
have like the pulse that
shut it
goes through.
down.
Yeah, just like throughout the day to kind of interact any like foreign technology and
Yeah,
things. But I mean, they really were able to break down like this was like some Columbo level of detective skills. But I mean, if you have enough mutants working together on it,
yeah,
like people like Sage, like she's real good at like computing this kind of stuff. And they were able to break down like how they got into the airport. They were able to point at like the baggage and airport security are being involved because there's too much here that was overlooked for them to have pulled this off. So it's like they're able to break down, even with a few hypotheses here and here, they're not fully gathering everything. They get the gist of what happened and how this happened. And they already have preventative measures. Like, I
yeah,
like how quick and fast they are about reacting to the problems and how they just don't. This isn't like the X-Men of old where it almost feels like there was a lot of problems that like they could have avoided and like been proactive about. These new X-Men are just like, oh, okay, this happened. Let's fix it now.
yeah. Yeah, it's a good debriefing for
Yeah.
sure.
And the Reavers are mentioned in there. That the group is
Yeah.
is tied to the Reavers, which is real cool.
Oh, I did miss that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see it. Connect. Yeah.
But they say they bear a resemblance, so it's like they're not even 100% sure that it's the Reavers. But I mean,
Right.
us as the reader, and from how they're being used, they're either the Reavers or the Reavers is like interchangeable counterpart, the Purifiers. They're both. That's the same thing.
Sure.
They're all the same. They're all like people who are like hate mongering, anti mutant mercs, POCs or something like contract
POCs.
mercenaries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but it is what it is like with that kind of concept. But I definitely know that that's what they're leaning on. They're like, oh yeah, this is the Reavers. We're totally flagging that right here.
Yeah. And we cut to after that the healing gardens, and we get this great shot of just these people getting kind of their bodies are like it's pretty good body horror in this
Yeah,
whole issue. We're gonna see a lot of this, which
did you
is
see Alien Covenant? I mean, not great.
yeah, I don't remember too much, but I saw it.
Well, like the cyborg character played by Michael Fassbender,
Michael.
Magneto.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Is that the
yeah,
one where he fluted himself?
yeah, there was that.
That's
That was
all I
also a
remember. That's all I remember from that movie.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of like body horror like this where he was doing experimentation and like there
Oh
was a lot of
yeah.
imagery that kind of. But this is on some next level. But can we take a moment to note the breakout appearance ahead of her movie appearance? We get Dr. Celia Reyes.
Yeah, Dr.
Oh,
Reyes.
oh my gosh, and organically here, like this makes sense because you know what? She has an expertise in surgery.
Exactly.
Whereas her as some sort of mistress, like psychiatrist character in the New Mutants movie makes no sense.
I don't get it.
But she's here. Like that's an interesting. I mean, more believably here than in the other one, but here nonetheless, which is kind of cool.
Indeed. And they're just talking about like healing lungs and stuff. There's a lot of adrenal glands and Black Tom's in the back just going like, it's my fault.
This is
I
all
did this.
BTC's fault.
It's BTC's fault, man. BTC didn't like this. BTC didn't want this. BTC does not like this. Everyone's just like, please stop calling yourself BTC. BTC
Yeah,
will not stop.
he is in the third person all throughout this like entire dialogue. I like the one thing she notes. So the Dr. Reyes is like, check out this like weapon concealed in their arms as well. There's one
Oh,
bone that's
yes.
like building. It's kind of like a Wolverine-esque thing.
It looks Wolverine like, very,
Yeah,
just a sharp dagger bone in their forearm.
yeah, that's pretty. That's pretty legit. I like that.
And then Black Tom's just like, I should be the one with the bullet in my head.
And I picture him saying all this in like a real sad like Scottish voice too, just like the kind of has that like kind of how they did like Moira in him
Yeah,
in the animated series.
in the
Like, oh,
animated series.
I would say almost cartoony, but yeah, that's a cartoon. So yeah, it's actually
Yeah,
how it should be.
exactly. I forget he's Scottish. I always forget the shillelaghs. I gotta remember.
Yeah.
Shillelaghs. Then we cut to Wolverine, or at least his hand,
Yeah.
and he snicks. He snicks it out. He's aggro. He's just all like, I'm gonna kill him. I might kill him. Should I kill him? I'm gonna kill him. I think I'm gonna kill him. Should I kill him?
Everyone's like, we can't. It's the law. The healer is just like, I only heal. Look at my moniker, for crying out loud.
Right.
Like, I am as one-dimensional as it comes for medics, so you just need to take it easy. And Wolverine has this nice little moment though, where like healing and hurting can be one and the same.
Yeah, that's a good line.
Yeah, and then he snicks away as the blood runs off his knuckle, wanting to hurt the guy so bad, but he's restrained. He's matured like Magneto. In a way, he still does what he wants and can fly off the rails. But still, there's this restraint from both Wolverine and Magneto, two people who are typically not known for doing such.
Indeed, and he kind of flies off the rails a little later, or not flies off the rail, but he takes things into his own hands.
Yeah, Wolvie style.
Wolvie style. Snick, motherfucker.
Berserker barrage. Good time.
But then Black Tom's talking about how he dismissed the breach, and he's still lamenting. He's still being butthurt. And Wolverine's just like, call Jean here. We need Jean to extract information from this guy's mind. Psychic interrogation, I think he says.
Yeah.
And we need to find out if Domino's alive. And she's just like, bitch, tell Jean yourself. Why don't you tell Jean yourself? And he goes, because I'm going hunting.
And I like how like just totally ready he is to like get things going, because he also notes like, if we find out Domino's dead, we got to jumpstart the resurrection so we can get her last memories and debrief her as quick as possible. I like how well Wolverine like is like happy to utilize the resurrection system.
Yeah, he's just like, kill him, we'll get information faster.
Yeah, or no, like we'll just reboot Domino and then we can debrief her then. So it's like, who gives a shit if she's dead or not? We can find out who's behind this and how to like get to the core of it all.
Yeah, if you're on a mission with him and you like stub your toe, he's just gonna kill you. He's gonna be like, well, we'll just kill you, bring you back later.
Yeah, in a way, you're dead weight.
I twisted my ankle. Well, all right, let me kill you. You're done. See you back at Crackle.
Yeah.
Like, not again. Just don't get me in the abdomen. And he always goes straight for the abdomen.
Yeah. Wolverine is always getting held back. Oh jeez. Oh, but they also dive into the fact that Domino is grafted into the body of all the Reaver-esque mercenaries. Yes, because
that's
how they were
able to get past the system. Track.
Which is cool because that's kind of a throwback to old school X-Force from like 10 years ago during like the Messiah arc trilogy, when Christopher Yost and Craig Kyle were writing it. Oh my goodness. They grafted the Purifiers and Reavers at that time, grafted the biological material, mechanical material from Angel's wings onto their backs, and they called themselves the Choir. That was like the special offshoot group that did it. They were called the Choir, and that was like the first time that they utilized like the mutant like DNA and a mutant material on themselves to try to fight the mutants. So this is like a nice throwback, like a harken back to that. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. In 10 years, it's like still the best X-Men issues for like each decade are the X-Force issues, except for in the 90s. And then I would be like, yeah, no, X-Force has got off. Look at their tiny feet and those shoulders. You want to tell me that's fun to read? Get out of here.
Get out of here. Oh, Liefeld.
Yeah.
But moving forward, we cut to Seoul. We're in Korea, South Korea, and Wolverine's just on this computer pecking away because he doesn't know how to use fucking computers, but he knocked out 2 of the guards.
Yeah. Oh man, it's a stupid fucking computer,
Yeah.
stupid fucking security software, stupid piece of.
Yeah, he's just like, fuck this. And then he sees a reflection of an officer walking in behind him, and he gets up, snicks his glass, or snicks out his claws, and then we see the cup levitate, or the officer drops his cup, and then we see the cup levitate, and we find out that that's done by none other than Kid Omega, Quentin Quire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When's the last time we've seen this guy? I'm trying to.
Uh, in a proper sense, it's been like almost a decade because like the Quentin Quire of like the last decade has been garbage. It's like they made him like the contrast to what was it, uh, Apocalypse, and they were supposed to play off of each other's demeanors. Like Quentin Quire stopped being like the Magneto-esque, like mutants are superior, and started to go like the other way with it. And it was a weird heel turn for him because he had always been, since Phoenix Warsong and Schism and all those like arcs, he was always like kind of in the Magneto camp of like mutants are superior. He's like, what if a mutant had Charles Xavier's powers but Magneto's demeanor? And that's what was really cool about Quentin. And this is a return to that. Like this Quentin, the dialogue that he breaks down here and the way he reacts to things and how he carries himself in mutants is a throwback to that Quentin. That one that the writing was better and felt more organic. When they try to make him like a leader of the X-Men team and like some sort of like voice of reason, it's just like, no, Quentin, you're arrogant. Like, how
Yeah.
does this work? Like,
It's
I don't buy
cocky.
this for a second. And I noticed that this kind of overshadowed Wolverine too, because like when Wolverine said he's going hunting, all I could picture is that Wolverine from like the Dark Phoenix saga when he was defeated by the Hellfire Club and then stood up and then turned around and went back and defeated the Hellfire Club by himself single-handedly, because he was like, all right, you got the first one,
Yeah.
but the second one is on you entirely, or on me entirely. So let's do this. Then he just shows up and he's like, I can't hack this damn computer. And Quentin's just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
Right?
get out of here. This is, what do you think? This is the 80s? Like, I'll handle this. He
Yeah. Okay.
sidelines Wolverine.
He
Literally
does.
he tells him, like, if I need someone to stab something, like, I'll get you. Like, just sit back. Oh, dude, this is great stuff here.
Oh, it's so good. And he essentially takes the cup of coffee from the dude and pours it on his face, burns him. He's still in the background, like they're talking. Like they don't immobilize this officer or anything. They just poured coffee on him and then began talking.
Yeah, just left him there, like,
He's
just like writhing on the floor in the background.
it's ridiculous. But essentially, he's like, "Yo, let me get in here. Let me show you how it's up, how we do this." And he goes in and what is he? He mentions that
They
like what do you
hacked.
get?
He not only got the information about the people and their license plate and their information, but in the process of doing that, he went on to Amazon and like maxed out Wolverine's credit card. But then Wolverine was like, "I don't have a credit card," and he's like, "Well, you do now, and you have a terrible credit score. Enjoy."
Yeah, that's great.
So now follow me if you want to stab something. Oh man, Quentin's got the best burns, like literally and like metaphorically. Like literally, he burnt
No,
that guy
yeah,
with coffee, then burnt Wolverine with his words. It's all on the same page.
everything. Like even when he's all like, "I've been inside your head," and it's like a spent ashtray in a Depression era hobo bar.
Right?
That's great.
Damn, that was savage. I was like, holy shit, that's beautiful. Like, what a literary burn, or like what alliteration in his burn. Like the way he sewed the words together in such a
uh,
way that fit, and it's just like, damn, Wolverine. And like I like the breakdown of like he knows all Wolverine's like default passwords, which one of them is 123, and it's like, yeah,
yeah,
I kind of
yeah,
believe Wolverine to have that.
of
He's an
course,
old fashioned dude.
dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
super old fashioned.
He's got like Civil War era etiquette stuff.
That's funny. But as they're doing that, they cut to back to Beast and Jean, and but they're just talking. Are they just? The only thing I get from this is they're just reminding us that there's pressure. We gotta go. It's just like, don't you understand? We gotta go. What's there to worry about? Don't you understand the fate of the mutant race? That's all I really got from this interaction.
Yeah, it was more of like instead of that scene in Swordfish where like he's gonna get shot in the head. Instead, it's like, oh, the whole mutant race is gonna get shot in the head. Like, hack this machine, get it ready, get it up and running. Like the pressure's on, and it's just like, oh, geez, like, all right, I'm trying my best to fix it, and he's like trying to bat back at her with like his philosophical like expressions and things like that. He's trying to reason with her and say like, hey, like no one understands this better than me. Like I'm on the same page as Eugene, but you gotta watch out.
Swordfish, the movie, that movie with John Travolta
And Hugh Jackman, Wolverine.
Hugh Jackman, yeah. Didn't he point a gun to it, like, to test him? He pointed a gun to his head, and then he had a woman give him a blowjob while trying to hack into something.
Yeah, well, Halle Berry stood in the background and like.
Oh, that was a ridiculous movie.
Wow. So far, all the movies that managed to reference have X-Men characters in it.
Yes.
Oh man, I'm synergized like fuck tonight.
Synergized, dude, on point.
Yeah, but yeah, that was great. He had a gun to his head and a mouth to his other head, and he's just like, "All right, I'm trying to hack it." Like John Travolta's commentary, where he's like, "She's very good, isn't she?"
Yeah.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie. People, that's underrated. I mean, I won't say it's like a great movie, but it's a good movie.
It's okay. It's decent. It's fun. It's fun.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's on his game with this,
Yeah, he's doing his magic. He's working it. He's making things happen.
Yeah, he brings up was it the sword of Damocles at one point, which that was kind of cool. I think that was a few panels back, which that was a nice little reference. That's like something like like an illusion, like the heavy as the head is wears the crown, but more with the Damocles reference, he was getting at like anytime you take the throne, there's the either impending threat of what is about to happen or the always existent threat that will always be there no matter what. So he doesn't understand why Charles put them in this situation where he was going out there and like being so willy-nilly. But then that starts to give him faith in a way, because he's like, if Charles did that, like, why would he knowingly do that with the threat so obvious? This has to work. Like, there has to be truth to the fail-safes that they set up, because why else would Charles be so foolish?
Right. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Beast, look at you making yourself useful.
He's having like a philosophical and logical battle within himself and against Jean at the same time, while trying to like hack or like rebuild this like Cerebro thing. It's kind of impressive. It's like, I get what Wolverine and like Quentin are doing is like pretty badass too in their own right, with their own little espionage mission, but like with just sheer mental prowess and willpower, Beast is having his own excursion right in front of us, and it's like pretty cool to kind of parallel each other, because like one's a physical one and one's a mental one, and they're both doing it in their own respective ways.
Yeah. Yes, he is. Look at that dude. Moving on. I don't know why I sang that.
It just flowed off. It was a good transition. Like,
thank you. We go out. We're still in Seoul with the two, with Wolverine and Kid Omega, and this page is great because we just see more cockiness from Kid Omega. He's just all like, I thought this would be a biker bar, printing, or a strip club, not a printing press. And he's just like, I hope they have enough ink and paper for the obituaries we're about to write. Yeah. And just starts rampaging.
Oh, quick throwback. When they were in that like security room, when that guard came out and he shouted something at them, it was like Meow Cho or something like that. I literally went into Google and I said translate from like Korean to English, and like it just translated to the same word. So I don't think that means anything.
I think you gotta use Korean characters to translate.
I don't know. I tried to get the word translation and like I went through and nothing. Yeah. I went from like English to Korean, then changed, like took the Korean that it gave me back, and then put that Korean in and translated it, and it just says the same thing. So it's like, I have no idea what it means.
Korean listeners, help Danny and give us the answers on social media somewhere.
Yeah, I need to know if it's bullshit
Let
or if
us
it
know.
actually is a real word. Because a lot of comic book writers back in the day would do that, where
They're
they just throw
bullshit. Yeah,
in
to make shit
gibberish
up. Yep.
over actual like foreigners, and it's just like, well, we have words like that exist now. Like I could Google shit, so like, why didn't they do that?
Yeah.
No.
I
I'm sure there's just
mean,
a pronunciation that I'm not catching on it, or a way that it needs to be like translated that I'm missing
probably.
on. But yeah, that was just one thing that stuck out to me. I was like, what is he saying?
What is he saying? We'll never know.
The
Maybe.
world may never know.
Uh, all right. So moving on, we go back. We are in the middle. They attack. Wolverine and Kid Omega attack. And even at the end, he's just all like, after Wolverine's just like, just be quiet, and he's just like, I'm not gonna shut up, and neither are they. They're going to scream and beg and pray and scream some more as they bow down before the gods of their future. And I dig this. I dig this
That is
Kaguya.
classic Kid Omega.
Yeah,
That is
yeah,
icon. That is the Kid Omega I fell in love with when I was just like, I like this dude. He's really like, he's letting down his sleeve, rolling up his sleeves and having a good time. Like he's like getting down to
yeah.
business. He's no bullshit.
For
Kind of reminded me, like I said, it's like Magneto's mentality and Charles is like essentially body, but
yeah.
without that whole shitty onslaught saga.
Uh,
Let's not go there.
yeah, Onslaught. Man, everything was so roided up in the 90s.
Yeah, it was so even the plot.
Even the plot. God damn.
Even that plot
Oh,
had steroids. Oh Jesus.
damn, man. Yeah. And then we cut to a secret room, and they go into the room, and we just see some more like crazy body stuff, just like intestine. Like there's a bunch of body parts and jars and stuff. It's great.
Oh man.
And
And
we
then
see, oh, that skeleton with the brain and
oh
eyes attached. Or the, what is it? The vertebrae? The vertebrae.
yeah, and then kind of like you get the I guess those would be the the veins and the what looks like it's some
Like
sort of like
it's probably the nerve
like
end.
yeah, nerve endings and like maybe some arterial like veins or something like that. That's also being formed, but probably more like the nerve endings because they're starting with the skeletal structure, and that's probably like I don't know, a lot of like weird like guts and or not even guts, but like bloody like mess kind of coming out of that spine.
Oh yeah, and there's just body parts everywhere. And we cut back to
Well, don't skip over the most X Force line in the entire like issue. It's like the most X Force sounding line. It's like this ain't a printing, or
oh
they ain't printing
yes,
books. They're
they're
printing
pretty
bodies. It's an
bodies.
assassin factory. Oh,
Dun,
right as
dun,
they're looking down over
dun.
like that like brain with the
Yes,
stem and everything. I'm like, this is X Force right here, and it's pure page.
yeah,
Spot
yeah.
on.
It's good stuff. Finding them secret things, people doing in the underground stuff. I like it. I like it. I dig it.
Yeah.
Body parts everywhere.
And I like this of Kid Omega and Wolverine because they originally did it and it worked for a little bit. Wolverine's character not as much, but it worked when Wolverine took over the Jean Grey School of Learning and he was like a headmaster and Kid Omega was like
Hmm.
he was like the his ward that he took on because he kept trying because all the schism shit where he tried to like take
Yeah,
over like the UN or like a gathering of like United Nations shit. And so like Wolverine essentially took him under his wing as trying to like keep an eye on him and like make sure he doesn't fall out of line. But every time Wolverine would go on missions to keep an eye on him, he'd bring him along. And like I enjoyed that Kid Omega for a bit, but it's like Wolverine was trying to install some sort of like mentorship and lead him down a more righteous path. And it was a weird like spot for Wolverine to be in because I'm like, this isn't you, Wolverine. Like you're a more grittier realist and less of like an idealist. You shouldn't really be the one in this role as much as like if maybe Scott didn't fly off the rails, it would be him, but you know, it didn't work out that way, so they shoehorned Wolverine into that role. But I like that kind of buddy cop stick when like Kid Omega's going around doing his
sure.
thing and Wolverine's there. And I like that they brought that back in. Like it works better in an X-Force comic because then Wolverine at least is a little more realist. He still doesn't like the megalomaniac like complex or the god complex that Kid Omega has because he notes that. He's like, He's like, I don't like the way you're talking, and I definitely don't like the smell of this place. uh,
uh, but we cut to Sage and
Genie.
Jean Grey, my girl JG. Nope,
Yeah.
doesn't work. Doesn't work.
Yeah, no, that doesn't. Sounds like you're trying to say GG. Good game.
Yeah, nope, doesn't work. But
Yeah. Celia's bounced. She had that movie shoot to do for New Mutants, so she's out of the picture as like
yeah,
Sage and
she's like, I
Jean.
gotta
They're like
go.
picking apart this person.
Yeah.
Oh, real grimy.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, pretty gory. They're just like, yeah, going through this person's body, and
They're like the Russian dolls, as they allude to that, because like
yeah,
you pull it apart and you find something more and more and more. Like she notes that the ear had like a strong like wire that could be used either for climbing or binding or like a groat. So it's like threaded throughout the inner of the ear. Like the entire ear is spooled with it essentially. So
yeah,
they're like these really hodgepodge jury rigged like super soldiers. Because they
yes,
comment, and Celia, or not Celia, Sage goes into this whole like diatribe about like they're trying to make Superman, but these are far from it. They're definitely like amazing, exquisite mercenaries and like super soldiers, but they're not they're not like the next step in human evolution. And that maybe they someday they could reach that, but right now these are kind of these are like a mirroring of that example, or a marring of that example.
yeah. Um, and Jean eventually does her thing, right, and reads.
Yeah, before they
Read,
know that they had to take out all the teeth because each one of the
yes,
teeth were filled with plastic, like explosives, which it's like, damn, talk about like a suicide tooth. Like you got a suicide mouth.
right.
And that's
Like, how
like
do
a good
you?
one.
I
Bite
wonder
down and
how
just
hard it's
take it all.
activate. Yeah.
Yeah.
How hard do you have to bite down? Where do you have to bite down? Like, what activates it? What if you want to eat?
Yeah, how do you? Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe they don't need to eat, or maybe they eat
It's
through
not.
IVs or something because they're
Yeah,
like
I don't think
not meant
food's
to use
on
their
their
teeth.
minds. I think just
Yeah,
death is on their mind.
yeah, they're just weaponized in such a way that they don't even they hunger for murder. Dead mutant children. That's all I need to be fed off of.
And then they talked about Logan leaving too before they read her mind, and she's just like, you should have he should have consulted the Quiet Council before charging off like that.
But she
Uh,
realizes that she couldn't have stopped him even if she wanted to. Like Sage
yeah,
was in no place to do it, so Jean's like, "It's okay, don't sweat it." What's going on in this dude's head? Whoa!
yeah,
Like they just had him like, they're like, that's all right. And then she just like jumps into it. She's like, oh my god. And you
yeah.
see this nice silhouette of like
It's
all
cool.
this wispy visual image of like the weird anti-mutant purifier-esque council where they wore their weird kind of
Those kind
Court of
of
Owls
Court of
masks.
Owls masks. Yeah.
Super Court of Owlsy right now, especially since they're all like wispy and bent. I'm just like, huh? What's your favorite run of Batman? I wonder.
Hmm.
Yeah. But that's fine. It's not it's not going ham-fisted with it, so it doesn't bother me. But I do definitely feel like I'm like I know where this like imagery is coming from.
Yeah. Clearly Court of Owls.
Yeah, yeah,
It's ridiculous how.
yeah. If they were to debate that and like come out like like working together and saying like we just totally weren't like going for that. I would be like Percy, Kasara, you guys are great, but don't come on. Don't lie to me. I am mad, but don't lie to me.
uh, um, but we cut to the strange case of Phineas Hook. And what's going
Sounds
on
like
here?
a
It's
Lemony
weird.
Snicket's
It
like title.
does, right? It sounds like a dark children's story.
In this chapter, we've known as the strange case of Phineas Hook. Uh,
Oh, it's so good. But It's talking about how Charles sent Domino to investigate some shell companies, um, and it led to this person, Phineas Hook, a 35-year-old Irishman who worked in Dublin. Um, it goes into like something about a gift card.
She was following him because she is basically trying to go under deep cover to investigate this
Yeah,
person
she's
and
trying to
what's
figure
going
out
on
how.
behind him. And she was able to unlock like a kind of weird communicado that he had going on between someone else. Like he would buy the cup of coffee and he would throw it in the
Yeah,
trash. She noted that that is kind of like a calling card to alert someone that something is going on, like there's something that needs to go down as a reaction to it. She noted that they would log into an online email account, type something out, and then save it as a draft, and then later on log back in and delete the draft. And then she noted that's probably a way of communicating with someone without actually sending an email. And then at one point, Domino was able to uncover an itinerary that led them to Seoul in Korea, and the
hmm
trip kind of outlined that in the itinerary. And then after that, Domino goes black, and this is like pretty much revealing what has happened to Domino up until this point, and what is the kind of prelude to how we get here. But what they discovered after digging deeper into her information, Phineas Hook doesn't even exist. Like he is literally a novel character. He's
yeah.
not real, like in any way. And like this all seems to be like a great ruse that was put forth to set up Domino intentionally. And that's a bit of a twist here because you're just like, oh, so that's why they wanted Domino. That's why they needed her and her essentially her skin, and this was all so they could bait them into getting into Krakoa to get close to Charles.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, they played the long game.
They
The
did.
long game.
Yeah. They sure did, folks. But enough about Domino. We'll get back to Domino. Let's go back to Kid Omega and Wolverine. They're hanging out. Uh, Kid Omega is just looking at this is fleshed,
It's like a flayed corpse almost.
flayed corpse. Yeah.
No skin.
He's just like, look at this pathetic fuck. This human asshole, pretty much. And as they're talking, Wolverine and Kid Omega, we get the corpse kind of comes alive and like attacks him from behind.
Yeah, but don't you get the like feeling with that transition in the panel that like he was looking at it and talking to it when its eyes opened and like started looking at him? Like I didn't get that feeling that he wasn't paying attention to it until you cut to Wolverine's panel and he's facing the other way and you see it creeping up on him. Because like in
Right.
the in
He
the
was
first
looking
part,
at it. Yeah.
yeah, it feels like he's looking right at it, and I'd be like, well, wouldn't you like keep an eye on something that just started looking back at you? So that's why I was like, how did he get the jump on him? But then that last panel before it actually gets the jump on him, you see the silhouette of him like facing towards Wolverine and it walking up behind him. It's kind of creepy. Kind of creepy.
A little
Not
creepy.
as creepy as like if they would have did a better job hinting at like that it wasn't that he didn't see the eyes open because
Right.
that
Weird
threw me off.
continuity. Yeah.
Yeah, it took away from the reveal. But I like a Wolverine who's just like, oh yay, something's live.
It's like, oh, something to cut? Okay, I'll cut it.
I'll show you how to do my part.
Yeah. And so Wolverine gets down, and then Quentin's just like, all right, let me do my thing. And his powers aren't working. And he's like, oh shit.
Psychic shotgun, psychic shotgun, psychic shotgun. Oh
Right?
god, that's all I know how to do right
That's
here.
what do I
He has
do?
a super existential breakdown where he's just like, all I am are my powers. If I get to my powers, I'm nothing. And he's
I'm
literally on
nothing.
the ground in the fetal
Yeah.
position almost. Shitting bricks over here.
It's great. And Wolverine's just like, you got fists, you got feet, you got teeth. Animal instincts.
Animalistic. Yeah.
Try it out sometime. As he's just like rampaging through all these flayed bodies. And as he says that, Quentin just looks down at like this skull and vertebrae just kind of snaking towards him.
We got knocked out of one of the glass like canisters that were nearby.
Right,
Wolverine
yeah.
like, throws the whole
Wolverine-
dude into it, and
Yeah.
it knocks it loose, and it's like bouncing towards him and smiling.
Yeah.
It's
So,
creepy.
yeah, I'm gonna bite you. I'm gonna bite you.
Ah.
So Quentin does what he does best. He just kicks it. I don't know if that's what he does best, but hey, he was
That's
able
what he
to
does
do it.
best in this situation.
As Wolverine said, he's got feet.
He's like, I'm helping Wolverine.
I
I
did.
booted that. I booted that skull
You
that had
see
no
that?
body. Yeah.
But then we cut to Wolverine's just like find her, and
Go be useful.
Quint,
Go find Domino.
yeah, go find Domino,
Go get me
and
some dominoes.
and then like literally, it's kind of a weird transition because like as she says that, he finds her.
Yeah, like he's just like,
I
oh,
was,
she was right here, like in this one
yeah,
room. That's just
kind
right.
of abrupt, kind of like convenience, very convenient. But he's just like find Domino, and he's just like, oh, okay, I'm done.
And boy, does he find her,
Oh
Jesus.
man, and look at this page. This is intense. It's a one panel spread of just Domino in a test tube. Half of her body looks flayed and mutilated, and I assume she's being healed, or
She
at least
seems. She
in a
seems.
stasis.
Yeah, she seems to be in a state of like stasis. But I mean, look at that one part by her leg. It's like someone took a bite out of her. Like there's like a
Right?
chunk of her leg just bitten out or something. I don't know what that's about, but wow. And there's still like some skin shavings left on that other side still. Like they hadn't like completely removed it all. But you now see the physical representation of what they took off her and then skin grafted onto all those other people to then actually get into the island of Krakoa.
Yes.
Brutal
Damn,
scene.
that's
Brutal
a
one.
lot.
Just one page here.
You would think they would just like take blood, but no, they're like, not taking some bone. I'm gonna take a little bit of muscle, take a little bit of
Yeah.
flesh, a little bit of fat. Why not?
Oh yeah. Oh, they were peeling her back like an onion. Ugh. That's rough. That is a rough panel, but man, well drawn.
It's so great. It's
Artistically
so
perfect.
beautifully drawn.
Yeah. Oh man.
Anatomically, it's great.
Yeah. What a way to end it too. Like perfect. Just like that visual
Right?
reveal sits with you. That sits with you. Like, cause then you look
It's like,
back and you're like, man,
damn.
that's how they ended. Like, where are they starting? Oh, jeez. And it's kind of a gut wrenching moment, you know, because if you're a fan of like Domino, you're just like, oh, Domino, that sucks, man. What happened?
Right?
Poor Domino.
Poor Domino, man. Ooh, yeah, it's worse than Luke in his pod, in
Yeah,
his tube.
yeah, exactly. Oh, jeez.
Oh man, but that is where we end this issue of X Force. Until next time, what did you think about this issue, Danny?
This issue wins in every bracket. It's
Yeah.
great for action. It's
Yep.
great for character development.
Sure.
It's great for story development, not
Yep.
only for the X-Force story, but the Krakoan story.
Yep.
And it's funny. It's not even I don't know if it's meant to be, but it's just as funny as Marauders and New Mutants. Like I think it's just the way the deadpan delivery that gets me, and that's my kind of humor. I like dark humor and stuff like that. So that's
Yeah.
why it's really funny to me. I can imagine plenty of people reading this and be like, I didn't find any funny next words. But to
Right.
me, like there's just some shit. And I think maybe just my approach towards it and the way they like just label things like the strange case of Phineas Hook. Like that's fucking funny to
Right.
me. Even though
Just,
that really wasn't too meant to be. It's just the title, you know? And
yeah.
the one-liners from fucking Kid Omega, like that shit was funny. Like those are some brutal savage burns. Just
Yeah.
what is it? Depression era, spent Depression era ashtray,
Yeah, spent ashtray and depression era boot
a bar or something,
bar
like
or
a
something.
homeless
Yeah.
bar for homeless
Uh,
people or something.
hopeless,
Really
but
just
yeah, it's a savage. You're just like, damn, on
uh,
point, Kid Omega.
but I
I
love it.
dug it. Yeah, I dug it. I dug the cockiness. I dug the arrogance.
Yeah. Like what's your like high end like above like takeaway from this? Like what really like tickled your fancy?
I dug all like the body horror and all like the mutilation and gore and stuff in this issue.
Yeah, the art was so good that really
Yeah.
like stuck out. Like that really caught like it stuck with you. Like in the end, you were like,
Oh
I can
yeah.
know people out there that I know in personal life that would read this and be shaken in the end, be like, whoa.
Oh yeah. I'm looking at
That's
some of the comments on some things, and people said that last page was disturbing.
very much was it haunting,
Sure.
super haunting. Oh yeah, just the lifelessness of her body in that tube, even though
Yeah.
like Yeah, obviously she's not dead, but it's just she
Yeah.
looks very lifeless, and you think the worst, like just seeing it. But I mean, that's not supposed to be a trope in the comic. They're like, oh no, it's Domino and she's dead. Like, no, they're like, we don't care about that. It's more of like it's Domino and look what happened to her. The reality that's more shocking, and that's what good writing is now is being taken from in these types of issues because of what Hickman set up.
Right. Yeah. Do the not kill all humans rule apply to these flayed people?
That's a good question. Are they human when they're modified so much? Wouldn't they
Right.
be like a different type of human? I mean, that's the whole thing that they were kind of leaning on when we were going over, like, I guess, Powers of X, because they were talking about a lot of the ascended humans. Are they even humans anymore? Like, we don't even. They had like a special term for it that I can't remember right now, but it was something that was along the lines of like Homo superior. They were like Homo exterior or something weird. But yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
I think this is getting more in that kind of bracket. Plus, there's X Force. Like X Force has always been like, even when the old school X Men were like, we can't kill. Uh, Scott was like, but X Force, you guys can do whatever you want. So maybe this is just like kind of more in the line of that. I
Right. That
mean,
would make sense.
he never killed any of the security guards. From what I see, they all
No.
got fucked up, but that's it.
Yeah. They seem still alive. Hopefully, unless like one of them like dies of like brain damage.
Yeah.
That's the problem with shit like that. Like, I bet you at least 3 out of like 10 of those guys die of brain damage when they're just trying to knock people out.
Or think about it, like they fuck people up so much that they're like paralyzed. Like then you get into a moral area of like, what's more fucked up, paralyzing someone or murdering them? Like
Hmm.
sometimes depends on how you're paralyzed. It depends on the person's demeanor. I know plenty
Sure.
of people who would be like, I'd rather be dead. It's more
Yeah.
fucked up to just leave me a vegetable. So there you go.
Sure. Sure. There you go. Yeah. Great issue. Great issue. Anything that you didn't like? You didn't like the whole beast randomly kind of thrown in there.
Yeah, Beast was a little shoehorned in, and like that part kind of rubbed me wrong, and just like the mentality behind it, and Gene's kind of like blasé approach to like, oh, you're a science it up.
Science. Do science things. Science
You
things. If I say
science
science
guy,
enough,
you get
yeah.
a science because I know science, girl. Me no science. It's just like, okay, all right, what's going on with the writing here? But I mean, that was bookended to like fucking that conversation between her and Magneto with the sword
Sure.
and the Cerebro, and then transitioning
Mm,
into like them dissecting the corpses. So like all that shit overshines like any of that problem. But
oh
that's it.
yeah.
That was it for me. Like, is there anything besides that that kind of like kind of bit out at you, and
Um,
you were just like, oh, this bite back in it. I'm not enjoying this at all.
no,
Something you couldn't mesh with, like something you were just like, I can't let that stand.
nothing. Nothing really, to be honest. I guess like I overlooked Black BTC, Black Tom Cassidy, because he was speaking in third person. I guess that's the thing I didn't like the most. I was like, wait, who's talking about Black Tom Cassidy? Oh, Black Tom Cassidy's talking about Black Tom Cassidy.
Which he had a little bit of that third person like monologue about himself in the previous issues, but it was never as heavy handed. Like it feels here it was a little more heavy handed than normal, but I don't know. I mean, his character has been so radical and unique since the beginning of all this that I don't know what to expect. I'm subverted on Black BTC has subverted all my expectations.
BTC, man, he's gonna be the rising star of Dawn of X. I
Oh,
feel it.
easily, yeah. Oh man, the sky's the limit.
Meow Chua. Meow Chua.
Yeah,
Meow. I'm trying to say that word.
yeah.
Meow Chua. Meow Chua.
I
Hold
searched
on.
by the phonetic and just other things, and I was like, I couldn't find anything that translated it to what it meant in English. It might even be one of those things that might not even have it, like then like 1/3 of the German language where they're like, oh, it means this in German, but there is no English word for it. It's just a euphemism.
Right. Meow Chua. Meow Chua. Okay. I'll figure it out. I'm gonna figure it out and get back to you.
I thought it was almost at first like I was a little like localized in my approach to this because at first I thought he was just saying like a blarg or "arr," or like one of those weird like things that people say when they're frightened. But then
Sure.
I like straight up like was like, no, that's a word. They're in South Korea. He's speaking Korean. Ah, what does that say in Korean? Like, I was curious. And then I got nothing, and I'm like, all right, whatever.
We will find out soon. But that is it. Any last words on X Force
Thank goodness
for
we got
this
to do
week?
X Force before Fallen Angels, because at
Oh
least I feel
man,
satisfied here, not
yeah.
wanting more.
Because next week is gonna be okay. It's just gonna be okay.
Yeah.
We'll try to keep it going.
Yeah, we'll try to bring some fun to Fallen Angels and like some diatribes and tidbits, but that well is pretty dry. It's
Yeah,
artwork is rough, the story is rough, the character portrayals are rough. It's just, and it's weird too because like you know, Kid Cable is in Dawn of X, like X-Men
yeah,
issues, so it's like some of them don't even need to be here because they have other stories as well.
exactly.
And you know how I feel about like Kid Cable. He's already kind of weird to me. So him getting like more than one issue is like, all right, we've resurrected all the mutants pretty much. I mean, millions at least.
Yeah,
You're gonna resurrect millions of mutants, and one of them's gonna get like multiple issues that focus on them. Like I don't understand why, but okay.
it's weird.
Yeah.
It
He's
is weird.
already a time travel MacGuffin of a character, so like, why really like spotlight it? You know, in the past they've done better with like kind of those weird plot device breaking characters, kind of putting them in the background. But with
Mhm.
Cable, he's just like, I'm like the main character in a few issues. Check me out.
Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah.
Good gig if you could get it.
Yeah. Do you realize he's the same terrible plot device that they used in the new Terminator movie? Have you watched it or know anything
I
about it?
still haven't seen the new Terminator. I don't know if I want to. I just know that it retcons like the last two movies up until, or no, all of them except for the first two, right? So this is technically the third one.
Yeah, but they do that every time they make a new, like every Terminator that's come out since the second one is the new third one. So yes, so that's
Fair
like
enough.
there's like five third ones and then just the actual good Terminator. But yeah,
uh,
like they literally the plot devices is that oh no, someone killed John Connor. Oh wait, it's okay. There's a new person that's gonna rise up and be like the leader in the future, and I'm like, but wait, if that's the case, then what was the problem with any of the other movies when they killed
right?
John Connor? So it's like it's the whole time travel problem in the Avengers movie and any movie that's come out with time travel issues since Terminator and Back to the Future. It's just like Hollywood doesn't understand how time travel works and that the whole plot device that does. It's like look at the time traveler, like or the time machine. Like the whole plot in that book is like the guy can't change time really because the whole reason he built his time machine was to go back and save his wife. But if he saves
Right.
his wife, why did he create a time machine? So thus his wife has to die. He can't fix that. So this whole like problem with them like rewriting time in that way just always feels lazy when we've had stories for hundreds of years at this point now. I mean the time travelers like how old is that? That's almost 100-year-old story at this point,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's.
super old.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's like how have we as a society not taken note of these things and just overlooked it and turn out these terrible time travel plots in movies and in
Oh.
comics still?
1895.
There you go. There you go. It's a 200-year-old practically or 95. Okay, so it's 100 plus.
Ish.
Yeah. So almost like a 140-year-old freaking book is something that we overlook all the time when it's right there in front of us, readily available at all libraries. Yet none of these movie creators and comic book writers can take note of it and write a coherent time travel storyline that has a weight. It's always just like, time travel. This is how we'll fix our plot devices now. It's like there's a movie making and story writing set, and a part of that set is like a thing labeled a box labeled time travel. It's just break in case of written into corner.
Yep.
And the author's
Straight,
like,
straight up MacGuffin.
like in the 90s when they do the dream sequence, when they're like, we were always on record dream sequence, done. Boom, it was a dream. Problem solved. Now it's like the
Yeah.
time travel's the new dream sequence. I hate it. I fucking hate it.
It sucks.
It hurts me it hurts me down to the fabric of my being, Kyle. As a human being, I shouldn't feel this pain for something that's so easily fixed. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Complain.
People lazy. That's all we can.
Complain away, but that will do it this week, folks, for Podcast of X. My name is Kyle. I'm with Danny. Follow us on the Instagrams. We have an Instagram. I post when new episodes are up. Be sure to leave us a message, DM us if you have questions. Hey, we might read them on the podcast if you leave us a message. Who knows? Who knows? We might insult your mom. That's also an option.
It's an easy option, so.
Yeah. So you never know. You never know. But that will be it for this week. Remember, the robots are going to kill you. So live your life. And eat some carbs. You're looking a little thin.
He's talking to you, Will.
Yeah.